Hello dear colleagues and students. I'm Mr. Bahauddin with you. I'm a supervisor of biology in high schools. So today we are going to continue our lessons in biology for the secondary school. Last session we studied how the plant do photosynthesis process by absorbing water by four different physical phenomena, which was diffusion, osmosis, permeability, and inhibition. Today we are going to continue our lesson by studying the absorption of mineral salts from the soil to inside of the plant by different phenomena. So let us continue together by the slideshow. My dear colleagues and students, welcome again in the third session of biology in chapter 1, nutrition and digestion. We are going to study in this session the absorption of mineral salts by the roots of the plant. So second, the absorption of mineral salts. Scientists have proved that the plant needs certain essential elements other than the carbon, hydrogen and oxygen which they are essential for life. It can absorb these elements through the root, but efficiency of these elements would lead to number 1, disturbance in plant growth, which may stop completely. Number 2, may cause no production of flowers or fruits. These elements are divided into two groups: macronutrients and micronutrients. So we have to compare between the macronutrients and micronutrients. Number 1, macronutrients. The plant needs these elements in considerable quantities, and they are 7, such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, and iron. But micronutrients, the plant needs these elements in very small quantities, which do not exceed a few milligrams per liter. They may also be called trace elements. So they are 8: manganese, zinc, boron, aluminum, chlorine, copper, molybdenum, and iodine. And these elements help to activate enzymes. So nitrates, sulfate and phosphate ions change the carbohydrate into proteins, important elements. Phosphorus enter in composition of energy carriers compounds such as ADP, adenosine diphosphate, which convert to ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which storage the energy until living organisms use it. Iron also enters in the composition of coenzymes of photosynthesis. So, what is the mechanism of absorption of minerals? We have 3 different mechanisms, 3 different phenomena. Number 1, diffusion. Number 2, selective permeability. Number 3, active transport. In diffusion, these ions behave independently of each other and of water itself. They are present as, number A, positive ions, which we call it cations, such as potassium and calcium ions. Number B, negative ions, which we call it anions, such as sulfate, nitrate, chlorine, etc. These solutes move by diffusion. If you remember the diffusion identification, It is a movement of ions or molecules from high concentrated media to a low concentrated one due to the free motion of molecules. So by diffusion from the soil solution and pass through the wet cellulose walls. Cations exchange may take place. Sodium ions may get out of the cell and replaced by potassium ions get in the cell. So number 2, the second phenomenon is selective permeability. When ions reach a semi-permeable plasma membrane, some of them are selected and allowed to pass through it according to the plant's requirement. Some other ions are not permitted in, regardless of their size, concentration, or charges. Number 3, active transport. Strange phenomenon. Sometimes ions accumulate inside the cell against a concentration gradient. Example, ions diffuse from the soil solution with the low concentration to the inside of the cell, which is higher in concentration, which is known as active transport. So in active transport, the plant is going to use energy, to consume energy, to force the ions to get from outside of the plant in the soil to inside of the plant against concentration gradient. So, what is the meaning of active transport? Active transport, it is the movement of any substance across the cell membrane against concentration gradient. It means from low to high concentration by the help of energy produced by a plant cell, means ATP. So, here is an experiment to prove occurrence of active transport. In this graph shows the result of an experiment done on Netella algae which live in swamps. And as we see in the graph, it is clear that the concentration of various ions accumulating in the cell sap of the plant of this algae is higher than their concentration in the water of these swamps. The red column represents the concentration in the swamp, the concentration of these salts in the swamp, and in the black columns, it is the concentration of these ions inside the algae Netella. So it is also clear from the graph that the concentration of some ions accumulating in one cell is higher than in another. This proves that the ions are selectively absorbed according to the cell requirement. So we came to the end of our session. So we together are going to try to solve this question. Write the scientific term or mention the scientific term. Number 1, the scientific study of food and various modes of nutrition of living organisms. Yes, indeed, it's nutrition. Number 2, the living organisms which obtain high energy food substances from green plants or animals. Previously, feeding on plants. Yes, it's heterotrophic nutrients, living organisms. The living organisms obtain its food from remains of the dead organisms. Yes, it's the saprophytic living organisms. You are privileged. The small extensions from cells of the epidermis. In plants, yes, it's the root hairs. The movement of molecules or ions from a highly concentrated media to low concentrated one. Yes, the movement of molecules of ions. So it's diffusion. The diffusion of water from a medium of high concentrated of water to another of low water concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Yes, my dear, you are great. It's osmosis. Number 7, the pressure that causes the diffusion of water through semi-permeable membrane. You are right, it's the osmotic pressure. A thin membrane with very small bits has the ability to selective permeability. It's the plasmic membrane. Number 8. Number 9. The membrane which may be covered with lignin, suberin, or keratin, it's the impermeable membranes. So we came to the end of this session. So until we meet again, goodbye.